You guys ready? Oh, we're waiting on.
Yes.
It's 6 o'clock.
No, I'm in
I know.
planning commission
Waiting for
meeting.
my colleague to get off the phone. Then we'll do it.
But are you over there at the house?
There's Mr. Gonzalez.
Okay. Well,
Where's your
I'll
buddy at?
give you a call. I don't know how long
I
the
don't know.
meeting's gonna be, but.
I talked with his son yesterday. He called me out of the blue in a long time.
Otherwise, I'll bring it out tomorrow or something. Go visit mom.
You ready?
You can wait. All right, John. Bye.
All right. You guys ready up there? All right, we're going to call to order. If you guys all rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I appreciate it. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hoorah.
All right, good. Roll call, please.
Chair Gutierrez,
President?
Vice Chair Poikert,
Present.
Commissioner Gilbert,
Ready.
Commissioner Esvander,
Present.
Commissioner Gonzalez. One
Okay.
absence.
All right, do we have any oral communications from the audience on items not on the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay, there are no minutes. We'll go straight to public hearing. First item, please.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the Planning Commission. I'm Paul Gonzalez, Community Development Manager. Before you tonight is a proposed two-unit duplex with an accessory dwelling unit and a junior ADU. The case is master case number 2022-099, precise plan of design 2284, and variance number 23-001. The applicant is proposing a duplex with two additional units for an ADU and a junior ADU located on Jackson Street. It's mid-block, as you can see on the aerial. It is the only lot on this street that is not developed. Here is a floor plan of the proposed first story and secondary units. The units range in size from 449 to just over 1,200 square feet. Here's a picture of the landscape plan. The applicant is proposing a craftsman-style architecture with shutters and wood veneer on the sides of the building. It matches the architecture of the general area. Here's the garage portion facing the alley on the north side and the side elevation. Picture of the rendering. I did want to state a few things. This project was actually continued from the last Planning Commission meeting to tonight in order to go over final conditions of approval. We wanted to verify that we're all accurate and pertain to the project, which we did, and we met with the applicant and they agreed as well. Typically, the commission does not see projects of this size. It's a smaller subdivision, or excuse me, smaller project size. The reason why it's before you tonight is they are requesting a variance on the rear of the building, and I'll go back to that real quickly. So on the sides of the garage, there's a 5 and 10 foot setback. However, on the rear facing the alley, all the existing units to the east and west have a 5 foot setback. So the applicant's proposing a 10 foot variance in order to meet that same setback on the rear. So you can see here, you can kind of see it a little bit. So they just want to be consistent with the lots that are out there. And it makes sense for a few different reasons. For security, so if you look down there, if you're the police department, you can see all the way down there, and no one will be hiding in there. So that's the request of the applicant, and that's why the project's before you tonight. So staff recommends the Planning Commission determine the project is category exempt pursuant to Class 32 for infill, and approve variance number 2023-001, precise plan design 22-84. Staff and the applicant are available to answer any questions.
No, that's quick. Any questions, guys? No? No? Okay, let's open the public comments. Any requests to speak?
No, sir, there's no speakers on this
Can I
item.
ask,
Yeah.
can I ask a question?
Yeah, sir, go ahead.
Are we gonna be setting a precedent where we're cutting the everybody else?
No, we would not be doing so, Commissioner. In this case, it makes sense, given that the lots to the east and west have that setback. It's a use, and it's something that the property owners in the area enjoy, and it makes sense to keep it even along that rear, or that rear side on the north side of the elevation.
Does the contractor wish to speak at all, or? If not, okay, go have a. Okay. Yep, let's close the public hearing.
Move to close the public hearing?
Second.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Have a motion entertained.
Move the recommendation to the city council to determine the project is categorically exempt pursuant to the section number 15332, class 32 infill development of the California Environmental Quality Act. Direct staff to file a notice of exemption and to approve variance number 2023-0001 and precise plan of design number 2022-0084.
Second.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
If I might, I
Please.
may have misheard what the commissioner said, but I thought he said recommend to the city council. But this action doesn't go to the city council. This will be a final approval by this
Okay.
body.
Does he need to clarify the motion, or is that a?
If what was that the intent?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay. Thank you, thank you. Next item, please.
Okay, good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Planning Commission. Daniel Casey, Senior Planner. I'll be giving tonight's presentation on the second public hearing item on behalf of Dion Jobert, Senior Planner. And I'll go over your presentation. Each of you should have got this packet in front of you, but I'll go through it right now also on the screens. The application numbers for reference are tentative track map number 2022-0002, which is also referred to as tentative track map 20550. And then an additional application, variance number 2022-0003. This first slide here, just showing you the project site. It is comprised of 3 parcels of land that total approximately 1.67 acres in size. The boundary here is shown there in red. It is located on the east side of Maple Avenue, approximately 1,050 feet south of Etowanda Avenue. And it's also at the terminus of both Ashford Avenue and Sandalwood Avenue, as you can see there at the south end of this project site. All 3 parcels that make up the site are zoned R1A, single-family residential. As you can see from the aerial image, this is a predominantly residential area. All the properties surrounding the site are also zoned single-family residential. The parcel at the northwest corner of the site does have an existing single-family residence, but then the other 2 parcels that make up the site are currently vacant. And then you can see some single-family residences to the south, to the west, and then some vacant land to both the north and then also the east. So on this next slide, this is showing you the tentative tract map. And so what the applicant proposes to do is to take those 3 parcels of land and then subdivide them into 8 new single-family lots. The density with this subdivision will be at 4.79 dwelling units per acre, which is less than the maximum allowed of 6 units per acre. On this next slide, giving you some more info about the lot sizes. The lot sizes will range from 9,176 square feet up to 10,863 square foot. The minimum size allowed or required by the R1A zone is 8,400 square feet. So each of these parcels exceeds the minimum requirement. The lot depths for all 8 parcels will range from the lowest of 121 feet up to 137 feet. The minimum requirement in the R1A zone is 100. So each of these parcels meets the minimum lot depth requirement. And then the lot widths range from 67 feet to 85 feet. The minimum requirement in the R1A zone is 80 feet. So some of these lots before you tonight do not meet the minimum width requirement. I'll go into those here on the next slide. So this next slide, you can see the area in the red there. That is showing you lots 5, 6, 7, and 8. Each of those lots do not meet the minimum 80-foot width requirement. Lots 5 and 6, which are on the north end of that portion there, have a proposed width of 77.38 feet, and lots 7 and 8 have a proposed width of 67.38 feet. So a difference of a little less than 3 feet for lots 5 and 6, and about a little less than 13 feet for 8. Now, this is consistent though with the existing lots in the area. There is an existing tract to the south on Ashford Street there, where all of the lots within that tract are 60 foot wide. So even smaller than what's proposed before the commission tonight. So there's past precedence for granting these smaller lot widths. And just like to note that, again, the lot depths are greater than required, and then the lot sizes are. And so the planning division believes that this is consistent with what's in the surrounding area. The project before you tonight, it only includes just the subdivision of the land. There's no product proposed at this point. So just 8 single-family lots. The existing residence I spoke of earlier, that'll be on one of the lots, and then you'll have 7 vacant lots to be, developed in the future. And the project as submitted complies with all the applicable criteria of the R1A zone, with the exception of the width on lots 5 through 8, which the variance has been filed for that reason. The project is consistent with goals 219 and 221 of the Rialto General Plan. The project before you tonight is exempt pursuant to section 15332, infill development projects of the California Environmental Quality Act. And public hearing notices were mailed out to all property owners within 660 feet of the subject site. And the notice was also published in the San Bernardino Sun newspaper. And with that, the Planning Division recommends that the Planning Commission adopt the attached resolutions before you tonight, approving the tentative tract map and the variance to allow the reduced lot widths for lots 5 through 8. And that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions of staff, and the applicant's also in the audience.
Okay. Any questions of staff?
No.
All right, well,
I like the project.
yeah, I do too. Let's go and open the public hearing. Do we have any requests for the audience to speak?
No request to speak on this item.
Okay, would the contractor like to speak on this, or developer? Applicant, I mean, sorry? No?
He's declined.
Okay.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor? All right.
Aye.
No opposed? Okay, do I have a motion to entertain?
Well, as soon as it gets ready.
Thank you very much. Adopt the status resolution Exhibit C to approve a tentative map number 2022-002 to allow the subdivision of a 1.67 gross acres of land, APN 025-151, 59, 60, and 71, into 8 single-family lots subject to finding and condition therein. Adopt the attached resolution Exhibit D, approving variances from 2022-003 to allow the variances from the section of 18-10-030B, Rialto Municipal Code, RMC, to reduce the minimum requirement of lot width with 80 feet of 67 feet for lots 6 through 8, tentative tract map number 2222-002, subject to the final conditions therein.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you again.
I was waiting for you to add it has to go to the city council.
Hello, sir.
Good evening again, Chair, members of the Planning Commission. Before you tonight is a proposed 42,542 square foot industrial building. The conditional development permit number is 22-020. Precise plan of design for site and architecture is 2022-032. Environmental assessment number 22-032 and variance number 22-002. I am also presenting on behalf of Dion Jobert tonight as well. The project site is proposed on the northwest corner of Riverside Avenue and Resource Drive, as you can see in the vicinity map. The project site is surrounded by industrial uses to the FedEx building, and I believe it's over 600,000 square feet. To the south is an existing industrial building, and to the east are industrial buildings as well. And to the north is an existing fly habitat. Here is a site plan of the site. You can see the building on the east side. And they would enter from Resource on the south, and it will go through the parking lot, and the trucks will enter on the west side of the building. The applicant is proposing 17.9% landscaping for the site. They are requesting a reduction in the rear for a setback as well, reduction, given the differences in grades, and there is a difference in the Aguamon's specific plan, and which is a 0 setback compared to an ordinance that was approved in 2021, which has a 10-foot setback. So there is a little bit of a discrepancy in the two. Because of the grade changes, they requesting a variance on the rear. The applicant is proposing color schemes of light grays and whites, and with the blue trim. There's a rendering of the proposed building on the corner of Riverside and Resource. The building, as mentioned, is 42,542 square feet, with an office of 2,000 square feet on the first floor and a mezzanine of 1,500 on the second floor. Staff recommends the Planning Commission approve the project as stated in the staff report, and staff and the applicant are available to answer any questions.
Where's the information on transportation and this impact on it?
There was this report that was done. There was an initial study that identified the traffic impacts. It should be in the packet. I'm not sure if it's mentioned completely in the staff report, but there is reference to it. So if you're looking for additional information, Commissioner, there's 142 planned trips per day for the site.
Is it? It's not in here?
It's one of the attachments. What you're looking for, let me see here. What exactly we're looking for, Commissioner?
How many trips are there?
142 daily.
And then what will the total trips be in that area?
In the general area, it is an existing industrial area. When you say trips in the area, you're referring to the overall.
Well, the impact of those trucks and the trips, what's the total amount there?
At a high, there was expected to be 50 at peak trips per hour. However, we don't expect it to be at that that rate, given there's, I believe, 4 bay doors. So to have 50 truck trips in an hour would not be feasible.
So just to confirm, the Transportation Commission specifically reviewed this project?
The Transportation Committee did not review this project. They have not met for probably 6 months.
Okay. So are we approving these in the blind without the Transportation Commission actually reviewing the traffic impact? Or is that normal practice?
Yeah, typically, the Transportation Commission will receive it in a report on the transportation, or excuse me, on any impacts of the traffic and traffic studies that were completed. The applicant did hire a traffic engineer who did complete this study. He has a traffic engineer degree and stamp, and he's certified to sign off on it.
Can we get a feel for when the Transportation Committee's gonna start meeting again?
Not sure when that will be. We could look into it and see if they're going to continue their meetings in the future.
That is purely up for the city council to appoint enough members for the body so they can hold a quorum. But what every development project does go through is its own exhaustive development review process by the planning department, building department, city's engineering department, which also includes traffic, engineering. So aside from the developer having his, licensed and certified team of professionals that prepare all the plans and the studies and reports, it is reviewed by the city's traffic engineer along with the city engineer. So that is done, absent each and every time commission.
Yeah, I would like to see us either get some additional commissioners so that they can meet, or do something with it, because I attended an EDC meeting yesterday, and I have a confidence issue regarding the communication and reliability of those numbers.
Right.
And unfortunately, if there's something wrong, I realize the engineers that verified it could be held accountable, but at what cost to the city, and at what time, and what issue might arise, and I'm
Right.
not comfortable with that.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we get that request to the city council, but after yesterday and some of the discussions, I just don't, I'm not feeling the process is reliable right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before you hear
I just tell them not yell. Tell them not yell loud. Tell them not yell loud. They're frank. Yell loud. They're frank. They're frank. Okay. 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 We're gonna close. We're gonna close the public hearing.
I thought they're not having a guy speak.
Oh, was he? I'm
you
sorry.
opened-
I
opened
thought
the
there was.
public hearing.
I'm so sorry. Was there any request to speak on this?
No, sir.
Anything? Does the applicant wish to speak on this?
I think the applicant's fine.
Okay.
Move to close the
Now-
public. Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor? No opposed? Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to entertain?
It's a big one.
Yeah.
Move to forward to the city council to adopt the attached resolution Exhibit E to approve conditional development permit number 2022-0020 to allow the development and operation of a 42,542 square foot commerce center on approximately 1.88 acres of land, assessor parcel number 0260-021-39, located at the northwest corner of Riverside Avenue and Resource Drive within the heavy industrial designation of the Agamonza Pacific Plan, and to adopt the attached resolution Exhibit F to approve precise plan design number 2022-0032 to allow the development of the site and architectural review and development of a 42,542 square foot commerce center on approximately 1.88 acres of land, assessor parcel number 0260-021-39, located at the northwest corner of Riverside Avenue and Resource Drive within the heavy industrial designation of the Agamanza Pacific Plan, and to adopt the attached resolution Exhibit H to approve variance number 2022-0002, a request for a variance from 18.112.050.C.1 and 18.115.050.F.2 setback requirement of ordinance number 1653 for the 10-foot setback along the perimeter of the property and at a minimum of 1 foot for every 1 foot building height, but no less than 25 feet, subject to findings and conditions therein.
Second.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
again, to clarify the
Yes, I
record.
noticed the same thing.
Yeah.
It's staff recommend that the planning commission?
Yeah, these three type of entitlements, the Planning Commission is the final approver of those. So it'll be a final approval upon your action.
Okay. Do I have a second for this
I got a
warehouse?
second. Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. This other one's interesting. That's right. Two warehouses. This house right now.
Sorry, are we ready for the next item?
Yes, please.
Okay, perfect. Good evening, Chair, Planning Commissioners. So tonight, this item before you, Associate Planner Daniel Rosas presenting on behalf of Senior Planner Dion Jobert. This next item is requested that the Planning Commission review and consider conditional development permit number 2022-0050 and precise plan of design 2022-0071. So the first slide of the presentation just kind of goes over the site location. This is on the south end of town, south of the 10 freeway. It's in a M1 zone, so it's a light industrial zone there. It is composed of three parcels, a total area of about 4.78 gross acres. And those APNs are identified in the staff report for you there. This next slide just kind of tells you what the proposal is. Tonight, the request is to construct a 68,883 square foot industrial commerce, which includes 10,000 square foot of office area. The site design shown here, it actually has passenger vehicles on both the east and the west of the site. The building is located along the south property line with the truck court facing north. And then the access points on the right side there, or excuse me, on the east, and some lilac. The south driveway is going to be for auto passenger vehicles only, whereas the north one will be utilized for both truck traffic and passenger vehicle traffic as well. So the floor plan, this is a little bit blow up of it. You can kind of tell the office location in the northeast corner of the building. Those 10,000 square foot that we mentioned, 5 is going to be on the ground level, and then there will be another 5,000 square foot mezzanine, which leaves the remaining of the area for the building about 58,883 for storage purposes. And also in the floor plan, you just 2 of those doors there are the grade level, and then the other are dock high doors. The next one just kind of goes over what the architectural elements, the elevations there for you, which include the articulation and massing of the building. There's also some height variations that range from 38 to 40 feet. And those finishes, including that concrete tilt-up walls, will have glazing, reveals, and metal accents as well. Landscaping, this proposal exceeds the 10% minimum landscape coverage. That is going to come forth in a 10-foot landscape along the south and west property lines. There's also going to be the frontage at Lilac in both the parkway and the on-site landscape setback as well. All of those areas are going to be required to have the 30-foot trees on center, as well as ground cover and shrubs. This slide just kind of breaks down the parking for you. The office does have 2 different rates for the first and second level, and then the warehouse is broken up for the first 10,000 and thereafter. So in short, there's about 65 spaces that are required on site, and then actually it's 83 that are provided. That's a typo there. And this project was actually exempt from having to prepare a full traffic study. But there was a small analysis that was prepared, just given the area down south of the 10. So there was a little bit of analysis put together. This project is actually going to generate 206 total daily vehicle trips, and then you see the AM and PM peak hours at 23 and 24 respectively. The impacts that are kind of stated there are what's going on south of the freeway. 8 of the intersections were reviewed. 2 of them are right there. The Riverside, specifically the 10 and Riverside overpass there. So right below that, you have the recommendations for those improvements. And as a result of those improvements, there is a fair share contribution that is required for both the City of Rialto and Caltrans funds in the neighborhood of about $8,900. Lastly, just in summary, this project is consistent with its zone in the M1, the city's design guidelines as well. Also consistent with the industrial uses to the north, south, and also to the east across Lilac. This project is also consistent with the general plan goals 2.16 and 3.1. The public hearing notices were mailed out to all the residents within, or property owners, sorry, within 1,000 feet of the project site. And this project is exempt pursuant to CEQA Class 32. And the following documents and studies were provided substantiating the no impacts. So lastly here on the slides, I think I saw a little discrepancy on the exhibits, but I'm just going to admit what the exhibit says there. But staff's recommendation to the Planning Commission is that they adopt the resolution of approval for conditional development permit 2022-0050 to develop for the use and development of the warehouse, and then also to adopt the resolution of approval for precise plan and design 2022-0071 for the development of the site accordingly. That's all I have for you tonight, but I believe the applicant's team representatives are available for questions when you get to that point.
There's, you show no impact at all on sound?
Correct, yeah. There was a noise study. Also, no thresholds were exceeded on air quality. There was also a health risk assessment because there are some residents in the area within 1,000 feet. So yeah, all of those came back with no impact.
So you've identified 206 vehicle trips, but there's no impact on the study for noise.
Right. I mean, it is 206 trips, so I would say.
Those trucks are gonna come in and out of there, and there's no impact on the residents?
Well, there are no residents on the street entrance of Lilac there.
What are those properties to, I guess it'd be towards Cactus?
Yes, so there are some to the west. Actually, there's unincorporated area there. There is residential uses there. There's going to be solid block wall along the property line there, and I think that's kind of why the design came forward with a landscape buffer, also the parking row there to kind of buffer any of the operations that are on site.
So there is a buffering for noise?
Yes, yeah, it is actually required that whenever we have any kind of commercial use and a residential, that they have a solid block wall.
How tall is that?
I believe the plan calls out for an 8-foot solid block wall in that area.
And what, in the landscaping buffer, what does that consist of?
So it is a 10-foot wide planter that will have trees every 30 feet on center as well, that will grow beyond that 8-foot height as well. Should the commission, wish, we can actually request that those trees be more mature upon initial installation, if they feel that there might be.
What are they now? What
Um,
size?
The standard is a 24-inch box. Yeah, that's what the condition would say.
And how long does it take them to grow out?
I'm not sure. I'm not familiar, like when you have the smaller ones, the 15-gallon, it could take a couple years at least for those things to, mature, visually.
All right.
I have a question to ask you. I noticed that a lot on this project here, you kept saying a small analysis. What do you mean by that? Before, is it not a full analysis of the whole program, or is something you didn't get a chance to do it all, or what's a small analysis of the program?
Oh, so it's focused traffic. So my understanding and my consultation with the traffic engineer for the city was that this project is actually exempt from having to perform or prepare a full analysis. But because they are aware there are some fair share contributions that are needed along Riverside Avenue, specifically at the 210, they had them include these intersections and just do a minor or a smaller focused so that they can find out what of these trip generations are going through those intersections and can correspondingly charge them their fair share contribution. So it's just not a thorough, large scale traffic.
Any other questions of staff?
Yeah, how far is it, or what's the distance for the, any kind of sensitive areas like schools or things of that sort?
Okay, so as far as the city of Rialto, everything that is south of the 10 freeway is all a light industrial, medium industrial, heavy industrial. But as you kind of border the city's jurisdictions, there are some unincorporated areas. And so there are some residents and for that purpose, the consultants and the team has a health risk assessment that is required to be prepared whenever you have that proximity.
Well, what's the distance, what's the buffer zone?
I'm not.
For the residents or any sensitive areas? I know that you talked about the smog analysis and all of that, but that's kind of a small area. But I'm concerned about how far is it from the sensitive areas? You said you have a couple of residents that are close by.
Yeah, there's actually some adjacent residents in the unincorporated county island, and when they did their health risk assessment, they included all those adjacent properties in that area, and they came back with that there's not going to be any negative impacts to the human.
But you don't have a buffer zone established?
No, the M1 zone is actually the city's buffer between its heavy industrial uses and any type of residential. So in most cases, you'll see something like a light industrial zone or a industrial park.
On the industrial park, I can understand. On the residential, I'm kind of leery. I would rather have more specific information on that buffer zone.
Commissioner, if I may,
He's talking about the distance between the warehouse and everything.
Okay.
That's what he's talking
Yeah.
about.
You're right. So I know that our latest, adopted ordinances that the city has for all of these, indoor storage facilities, they're all required, when they can be adjacent to a residential use, but there is a certain separation distance or at least a setback. So today, the way it stands is for every 1 foot of building height that you have to set that, have that setback minimum. And then in addition to that, the city's guidelines and also staff's review, make sure that just the design in nature will not have, you know, the truck courts backing directly up into sensitive uses without any kind of buffering, whether it be a sound wall, screen wall, mitigations and such.
The sound wall doesn't bother me as much as the regular, and I keep going back to the buffer zone. Because I think, in a warehouse, when you have a lot of traffic, that exhaust and all of that kind of stuff, it's the residential areas. If it's a school or a park, residential area, especially where older people live, or people with breathing problems, I'm more concerned with that and finding out what a specific buffer zone distance is. And that's why I keep going back to the buffer zone, even though the city has a certain standard that they use.
Yeah. Beyond the city's one-to-one setback, it's really comes down to the health risk assessment. Anytime you're within 1,000 feet, they're going to have you prepare that. They'd want to make sure that any sensitive receptacles, whether it's a school, a residence, that they take a look at that and look at the emissions and make sure that, you know, their threshold is not exceeded at any point.
Commissioner, if I may, the site does meet the minimum setbacks per the Agua Mazda specific plan.
It's actually just the M1 right outside.
In the M1 zone. The applicant could speak more on your questions if you'd like to bring him up.
Say it again?
The applicant could speak more on your
Okay.
questions. So-
That's fine.
Any more questions for Daniel? Any more questions for Daniel?
No,
Okay.
I think the applicant's gonna come up.
All right, we open the public hearing then, and with that, do we have any members of the public who'd like to speak, or we take the applicant first? Doesn't matter.
No, sir.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Paige Gosney. I'm a land use counsel for the applicant, here appearing on behalf of Riverport Empire, the applicant tonight. First off, I just want to thank you for your time tonight, your consideration of this project. This has been a long time. There's been a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of concentration and put into this project and bringing it to you tonight. A lot of that effort was focused on analyzing, the potential impacts, the potential issues that the project would pose, making sure that those issues and impacts were adequately analyzed, going, in this case, above and beyond to make sure that all of those issues were thoroughly vetted, and to the extent that mitigation was necessary, agreeing to provide that mitigation. So as Paul was referencing, we prepared a health, and Daniel as well, we prepared a health risk assessment, which is a detailed document, comprehensive document that analyzes any and all potential health impacts to sensitive receptors within that 1,000-foot buffer. From the edge of the proposed building, there's going to be screening walls there that will help screen, mitigate noise, mitigate other impacts associated with the loading docks. It's about 65 feet, I believe, into the property line. But it's interesting the way that the property goes at that end. You have a cul-de-sac, Rose Avenue, that dead ends, and then you actually have a public street, Althea, that now it's just a driveway that looks like it's part of the residence/business that's the closest parcel to the property line. But so that is a public street, that can't be built on. So you have an additional another 60 feet or something like that. So I think in total, from the edge of the building to the closest residence/business, you've got about 126 feet, I believe. And again, that was all analyzed in the health risk assessment, and the conclusions came back that there would be no adverse impacts to sensitive receptors to the residences within that area. So we made a specific focused effort to analyze that issue to make sure that there weren't going to be any issues. This is a little trickier situation because you have, the property is M1, it's zoned for light industrial, it's zoned for, exactly the type of project that's before you tonight, but it's also on the property line, or the boundary line, I should say, with the county of San Bernardino. And so, their zoning and their buffering and setbacks and all of that is different. But we comply with everything that the city has required of us. We're made sure that, to the extent we could identify potential impacts and issues, that we would mitigate those to the maximum extent possible, and we've tried to do that. So if there are any other questions that you'd have for me, I'd be happy to answer those. Aside from that, I just want to thank staff, thank Paul Colby, especially Daniel for pinch hitting tonight. I know this was Dion's project. We've loved working with Dion. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here tonight, but we appreciate Daniel and Daniel and Paul kind of stepping up and bringing this towards you, because we're really excited about this project. One note that wasn't in the staff report, this is an owner-occupied project. This isn't a speculative building. Our client's involved in distribution and storage of high-end meats and cheeses and other kind of dry goods. So this is his business. He will be operating here. His business will be operating here. There's no question about what the tenant will be, what the operation will be. We are and will be, and the client will be fully accountable for everything that goes on at the site. So
I'm glad to hear that the business's property, the property owner is the one that owns it and works it. So I appreciate that. But I want to restate that my concern with, and this is with most warehouses, I need to know more specifics about the buffer zone between, because we've passed quite a few of those that, you know, I'm reluctant to say I should have voted against it, but for this time, I think you've addressed the question, at least for now. I think it's okay, and the business that you're planning on having there, and it's owner occupied, I think that relieves my questions a little bit more. So.
Good. I hope it did. And to the extent you have additional questions or other concerns, we're more than happy to address them to the maximum extent possible.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Favor? Opposed? All right, opposed? We have a motion.
Move to adopt the attached resolution Exhibit E to approve conditional development permit number 2022-0050 to allow for the use and development of approximately 6,883 square foot industrial commerce center on 4.78 gross acres of land, assessor parcel number 0258-102-12-13 and -14, located at the west side of Lilac Avenue and 975 feet south of Santa Ana Avenue, within the light manufacturing M1 zone, subject to findings and conditions therein, and adopt attached resolution Exhibit F to approve precise plan of design number 2022-0071 to allow for the site and agriculture review and development of approximately 68,883 square foot industrial commerce center on 4.78 gross acres of land, assessor parcel number 0258-102-13-14-15, located at the west side of Lilac Avenue and 975 feet south of Santa Ana Avenue, within the light manufacturing M1 zone, subject to findings and conditions therein.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Finally, a warehouse with an occupant that's gonna be in here.
We don't have too many of those, I don't think.
I think it's the first.
I don't have one for this room.
All right. That was our last item, was it?
Yep.
One more?
I'll just present from here, Chair, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Chair and Commissioners, Paul Gonzalez again, once again, Community Development Manager. Before you tonight is a proposed zone change amendment, 2023-001. It's to amend Chapter 18.104 of the Rialto Municipal Code for regulating outdoor storage uses. In January of this year, on January 24th of 2023, the City Council directed staff to take a look at this section of the municipal code for outdoor storage uses. It's for trucks and trailers and those types of supporting uses to industrial buildings and other industrial uses. The council was concerned about the safety of the residents, of course, of City of Rialto, and they wanted to see this section reviewed and updated by staff. So staff took a look at it and made some recommendations. The item went to the Economic Development Committee in April of this year, and they recommended that staff review it and make some modifications to the code changes that were made, and bring it back to the planning commission and eventually to the city council. So some of the concerns initially were there were 4 uses in town that were operating without the benefit of permit. This use requires a conditional development permit, and it still will require a conditional development permit, but there were a few different code cases that were out there. So code of compliance went and started cases, and all of them, I believe there's only 2 that are remaining. In the meantime, we do have this ordinance changes that are recommended. So in your packet, there should be some changes to the whole section that we're referring to is in there. Bolded are the changes that we're recommending, and they basically deal with additional screening, expansion of existing uses. They refer to fire hydrants and additional safety measures that are going to be required if someone wants to move forward. Existing uses that don't comply, they're basically non-conforming, but if they did come back, they would have to make modifications to meet today's standards. So some of the larger changes, as I mentioned, are having fire hydrants if required per fire, having queuing on site, so you don't have anybody waiting in the street. You know, you see that a lot, stacking. So we're going to require additional stacking on site, and a few other additional ones that staff felt were necessary. So with that said, staff recommends the Planning Commission recommend to the City Council approving zoning code amendment, zoning code 2023-01, and ordinance amending chapter 18.104 of the Rialto Municipal Code regulating outdoor storage uses. So if the commission has any questions, staff's here to answer them.
I don't have a question.
Mr. Chairman, this is a public hearing item, so we should open the public hearing and see if
Okay.
anyone in the
Sir,
public.
we'll open the public hearing and ask you specifically if you would like to speak on this item. One more time?
Not on behalf of this case,
No.
actually, on behalf of 22 Jackson.
He's an applicant for the Jackson
For the
project we heard
Jackson
earlier.
property, the earlier public hearing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we already did it.
It's already approved, sir. I can talk to you after the meeting if you like. Okay.
Okay. All right, public hearing was open. Do we have a motion to close? Move to close?
Move to close.
All right.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, we're good? Any opposed? All right. Okay. So we're making a recommendation to the city council this time, right? All right, how about I make that motion for you? Request the planning commission recommend the city council approve zoning code amendment ZCA number 2023-0001, an ordinance amending chapter 18.104 of the Rialto Municipal Code regulating outdoor storage uses.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? All right. Okay. I got a question for you though. Oh, well, actually, go ahead, go ahead. No, it was for when our time comes to speak. Okay. Community Development Director comments, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, I just want to say thank you for welcoming back. I'm glad to be back. So, yeah, I've missed you guys over the last month. I've missed the great staff here. Of course, they all left.
Right.
But it's a pleasure to get back, up and running again with the team and working on the projects and moving it all forward. So I look forward to, good planning commissions ahead and a lot of good information. So, thank you.
Well, I can ask you the question then on, while I hear it. I've asked before, you know that Fontana's gonna open up Casa Grande, and who knows, it seems like it's soon because the road is done.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, cause my concern is kind of public safety on, they put, the road diet is unmaintained and unmanaged, and a lot of the cones are off, so it's kind of a mismatch situation going on. And the part of the road diet, the intent was to preclude target employees from turning left on Palmetto to go through Las Colinas area. But what's happening is it is routinely, cars are going the opposite side of the road through the cones to turn regardless of those cones. They're either doing a full illegal U-turn around it, or they're just actually just going straight into the opposite lane
Yeah.
to bypass it. So I know we're talking about trying to think forward and and return it back to the way it was, once that road is open. But I don't know if we can get in front of it maybe and look at it sooner to try to avoid an accident.
Yeah, we certainly can work on that with the engineering division.
Okay, I appreciate it.
They certainly are the ones that would, analyze those turning movements and any delineators or barriers or
Yeah.
curbing and things of that nature, or other, things that could be implemented in the roadway. They certainly could reevaluate that.
Yeah, if you see it, you'll
Yeah.
start laughing.
Yeah,
It looks like
I-
a fifth grader. came
Yeah,
up with it.
I know what you're talking about. And our public works team, our engineering team works closely with our public works team. So if there's fixes in the field that need to happen, new RPMs or anything like that, they'll go out there and refresh it.
Yeah, and one request for the traffic guys, if they ever come back to look at, and I know it's a stretch, but I'm gonna request it anyway, because another one too, where I think for public safety is on Dove Tree coming out onto, damn it, that would be Terra Vista, maybe? I'll look right now. But anyway, the borderline for Fontana to Rialto is just right adjacent. That community's coming in, and there is a stop sign we added from a car that flipped, and they were driving too fast and hit and knocked out all of Spectrum. We had no internet for like a week. They had generators out there, but just the way the wall is and the landscape, which the landscapers do a good job of cutting the hedge down because it's a huge blind spot. But not only the blind spot is cars are racing from Fontana into Las Colinas, and I don't know if it could potentially be a two-way stop where there's already a stop coming out of Las Colinas, but maybe a stop right there to slow those cars down because they're flying through there. And I don't know what they would have to do to evaluate, but there's the stop sign not too far away, but they're really picking up some major speed. And I think I bet you someone's gotten hit there. It had to have.
Yeah.
But that area, I'll double check the streets, I'll tell you right now.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's all I have. Sorry to take over the whole thing. You guys got anything?
The only thing that I brought up earlier is that we have to get that transportation disconnect solved. If it lies with the council, either abolish it, fill it, do what they need to. Because there's too many items in there that are being reviewed by an outside source, and maybe they need to be redirected to be a little more cautious on their recommendations. It almost seems like everything's approved, and everything's okay, and everything is as it used to be or should be. But if it's an F, then an F is fine. It's not fine.
Yeah.
And I think that it was just, the conversation yesterday was just a reaffirmation that there is a disconnect. Because the finger pointing was pretty fun in a sarcastic way. So,
Yeah, I certainly will pass that along to council. Each project that does have its own, traffic review, which is every one of these development projects, there is quite a bit of back and forth comments between the city engineer and the city's traffic engineer with the development's, traffic consultant. And there's a lot of concepts that are proposed either in the street right away, in terms of the access, to the street from the development site. And there's a, not debate, but, there's a back and forth, dialogue with the city's traffic engineer and city engineer in reviewing every one of these, access plans. So that is a healthy conversation. Of course, all the data comes from the private consultant that works for the developer. They are the developers of the data and the reports. And then we do, review that, of course, with our own traffic engineer expertise. But nothing's ever really rubber stamped. And often in the world of traffic analysis, there's a lot of healthy arguments about what works and what doesn't work. And so there's more punching in the background than you ever actually see here at the dais, because those issues have been flushed out already. Not that what you see each and every time is a perfect solution on a project, but I assure you, there's a lot of back and forth between the engineers, because we see it as the planners as well, and so we're in that dialogue.
I just raised my caution that, you know, it just seems that everything's approved, it's all fine, it's all as it used to be,
Mhm.
or should be, and I just can't buy it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I just,
yeah.
so,
Point well taken, sir.
you want a stop sign in?
Can you tell us, or maybe you've already said that, but, and I didn't hear it, but can you tell us what's going on? The council was going to abolish the transportation committee?
I can't tell you why the council hasn't appointed a number of members to have a quorum. I think council is just reconsidering the layout of all of its commissions and appointees. And so that was something that I had heard back a few months ago, I think April or
Right.
May, because it was agendized on a council agenda, whether that was May or June, I don't recall exactly, some reconsideration of the commissions. But I don't know the details around that, and it hasn't come back to council. So I do expect something to probably come within the next couple months by year end. Probably more dialogue around that, but I don't have those details.
Okay, so far.
But I will tell you, you know, a transportation commission like this commission, it does bring good, you know, oversight and awareness, and it does, you know, shed light and applies, you know, brings a forum to issues that are important to anyone that drives our roads. And so I think it does, it's another, you know, pathway to transparency with the residents and the public on projects that are coming into the neighborhoods. And so outside of this forum, which also does that, but obviously that forum is hyper-focused on specifically traffic-related issues, not just land use issues. Because this is a land use issue forum right here. But, so I think there's value in each of the commissions.
Okay, thank you.
I sent an aerial to Paul there. It was Dove Tree and Tierra Vista.
Perfect.
Yeah, you'll see it. The cars fly. Yeah, big time. And it's not far from a school too, so it's probably good because kids are walking from Las Colinas to that school because, you know, Rialto kids go to that Fontana school because based on the area. So that's all I have unless she has anything else. Close, reformation, adjourn?
Move to adjourn?
All right, good. All right, thank you. Thank you, guys.